We can hear you.
It is choppy.
A little bit, but good enough that we can do a Daf Yomi share for sure. Just don't record any vocals.
Hold on. Let me see what.
Good night, everyone. Where did we leave off yesterday?
Good night. Left off halacha
That's
aleph.
someone pays the end of the parak.
Yeah, the end of the parak. The new halacha aleph. Yeshua,
Yeah,
I think the Harris, Anshe Harris had the biggest mincha meyer of minyan in the neighborhood tonight.
really. How many people were there?
Kanara close to 30, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
because
I-
Aaron Kaplan wasn't there.
That's right, exactly.
Aaron Kaplan is dominating in a very diverse minion, Baruch Hashem. I got a picture of his minion. Guys in flip-flops and shorts and guys in hats and jackets and everything in between. Baruch Hashem, that's Klal Yisrael. Baruch Hashem.
Don't give us an NCSY speech. We're not interested, okay?
Don't make us break out into Achenu.
You know, I really believe the Mashiach's going to come with this group. That's what I really believe.
Through Zoom, Mashiach's gonna come. He's gonna come on Zoom.
Exactly.
It's either coming on Erev Shabbos or Motzei Shabbos.
Yeah.
Just ask Naftali Landau what time it should be at.
You know, he hasn't been on.
Well,
in a
there
while.
goes this week.
He's been at Abba Subanim.
Yeah. Huh?
Can't
hear you, Uri.
Call him out on the chat. Just say, just wanted to see how good money Naftali Landau.
Taka. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. What do you say, Uri? Can't hear you. I don't know. Can anybody else hear him?
No.
No. Sounds like his Bluetooth's not connected.
This is like your old Bluetooth. It's your old one. All right.
Blame it on his father-in-law.
Eretz, you comfortable?
Marchuk, I saw you driving the other day. You drive like a woman.
Whoa.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean, Parrots?
Ask my kids.
I don't
You're in
understand.
the
How
left
could you
lane.
tell if you're looking at me?
You're in
how
the
I'm
left
driving?
lane. You're doing
see-
30 miles an hour in the left lane, totally oblivious to whatever else is going on.
I'm on a side street. That's a new level of ripping me.
You know, Parrots, that is so good. I'm not even going to respond. That's just enjoyable listening to.
Naftali, he's not talking about you.
I'm gonna let him believe I'm talking about him. It's good. That's even funnier.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. My son said he was talking about me.
No, but now I.
Well, then you got to talk to your son.
Yeah, I don't know. You misunderstood that.
Yeah.
The Kayan is glowing. Look at
Many-
the Kayan. He's glowing.
I don't know what that was all about, but I don't know what Parrots is talking about. But okay. All right, let's go. Yeah. We're on Daf Amud Beis. Yeah, we're good. Amud Beis, the Mishna.
Yeah, good.
Okay. So Zog the Mishna. Hatruma, Mayo Esimba. What they do with the truma? All right, meaning when they took out the money from the truma, what they do with it? So like but midim and musafim and niskayim, they would bring the korban tamid. They would use it for the money for the korban tamid, for the korban musaf, and for the niskayim. Niskayim is the what do you call it? Libations, right? Isn't that what we call that? Libations. Right? I mean the stuff that accompanies it, the wine and the flour, etc., etc. Right now, okay, then so that's for a tamid musaf. Then niskayim ha'omer, the korban omer, and yonah the omer. Ushtei lechem, and the shtei. It's interesting. It calls it shtei lechem. No, isn't it? Don't we usually refer to shtei halechem, right? No, is anybody? No, isn't it? We normally call it shtei halechem, right? Here it's okay. It's calling it shtei lechem, right? So the shtei lechem is those. That's the two korbanos that you can't. But you bring a shvuos, right? And then the lechem upon him, and the lechem upon him is the every Shabbos they switched out the 12 loaves. The whole korbanos tzibur and all korbanos tzibur, which is okay. So the obvious question with this is why are you singling out a bunch of korban tziburs and then saying the whole korbanos tzibur? I just say kol korbanos tzibur, right? So that's not exactly clear why the Mishna is saying that. Fine. Shaimri svichim b'shvius. Any of those that would watch over the svichim. Svichim is this is mamish negeya to next year's shmitta. So excuse me. So svichim is the stuff that grows by itself, right? So is the vegetables, fruits and vegetables that grow by themselves, just by the seeds falling or whatever it is. So that you're allowed to take. It has a lot of halachas about it, but you're allowed to take that during shmitta, right? So shomer svichim b'shvius, people that watch the svichim during shvius, meaning because you need them to watch it, because if people come and take it, it's hefker. It's hefker. So if people come and take it, then they're not going to have anything. They're not going to have any wheat to be makar of anything for the mizbeah. So noidlin scharim mitrumas lishka, they are allowed to take their payment from the truma, right? From the machzah shekel. Even if somebody wants, he could do it for free. Meaning, he doesn't have to get paid. We're going to see that it's not so simple to do it for free, right? But you have to. It's going to be a big machlokes here throughout the Gemara on Amud Aleph whether you're allowed to do it for free. But let's wait to the end of the mission to go through that. Amrullah, so they said to him, right? You also say, meaning the Chachamim said to Rabbi Yossi, you also are Maida that the Omer and the Shtei Halechem Shein Bayin Ella Mishal Tzibur. They can only come from Mishal Tzibur. Right. So basically, what this machlokes is, although it's very unclear from the Mishnah, what the machlokes is, but the machlokes boils down to if somebody can theoretically be kind of something for himself, meaning can private money become public money? Meaning, do the korbanos tzibur have to come from tzibur's money, or can they even come from private money that then gets donated into public money? Right. So that's the Tanakama is saying that it can't be. So what's the problem? Because if the guy works for free, then the stuff becomes his own, right? The svichim, he might decide, oh, I'm working for free, so I want to keep the vegetables, not the vegetables, the flour, for the wheat, and then that wheat goes to be part of the korban tzibur, which is a problem, right? So that's what the Tanakama holds. Rabbi Yossi says no, he could do it. It could be owned privately and then given over to the public. That's basically the machlokes. We'll see more about it in the Gemara. So Zog the Gemara. Yeah, is man atzik kehanim v'amli. What did this man atzik kehanim and the see that they counted? Right. So there's in Tainus, in the Gemara in Tainus, there's a bunch of dates where they celebrated. I guess if that's the right word, they celebrated the people that donated the wood. You had the people that they gave the wood to the Beis Hamikdash. So for them, it was a Yom Tiv, the days that they gave it. So the Gemara is asking, why did they make it into a Yom Tiv? Sorry, something's stuck in my throat. When Klal Yisrael came up from Golos and didn't find wood in the Lishka, meaning the storage house for the wood was not there, these people stepped up, right? I know on opening day Eve, I shouldn't say stepped up to the plate, but that's what they did, right? And they came and they made an avoda of the wood for themselves, and they gave it over to the tzibur. And then mamela, they had wood in order to bring the korbanos. And the Nevi'im that were around them said, even if in the future the Beis Hamikdash is going to be full of wood, but these donors who stepped up when the Beis Hamikdash really needed it, so if they decide that they're going to give it, then they said, we are going to always use your wood as the first korbanos of the year, because as a reward for what it is when they bailed out the Beis Hamikdash when the Beis Hamikdash needed it. Fine. Some Rav Acha to Rabbi Yossi, right? The Mishna and Tainus is like Rabbi Yossi. The Rabbi Yossi, which means Rabbi Yossi, right? The Rabbi Yossi Omer. That's even somebody who wants can give an adava shamachinam. So you see, the Gemara in Tainus goes according to Rabbi Yossi because you see that somebody could take private money and it could become public money. All right. So we're going to see in 2 blot from now the difference between somebody donating to Bedek Habayis, to korbanos, etc., etc. But right now, this is giving towards the korbanos tzibur. So we're saying that this Mishna and Tainus Lachar that they gave private, the wood was given privately, and it did not come from the storage house of the Beis Hamikdash, and was okay. So that's the right. So the Gemara is saying clearly it's like Rabbi Yossi. So then we say no, Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbi Loi divrei akolhi. So you say no, the Mishna can be going according to even the Rabbanan, who don't normally allow you to give private money for korban tzibur. My palginan. The gufa shall korban. Where's the machlokes? That's in when the actual korban, whether private money can go to it. I have a machshirei korban, but if it's machshirei korban, meaning things that just are what's machshirei again?
Ancillary.
Like ancillary, yeah, ancillary. But there's a better word than that, I think. But ancillary.
Yeah, there's a better word. Yes. Preparatory.
Maybe not. What are the things that you use? What do you think is for computers? Accessories. Accessories? Does that make sense? It's accessories. Okay, whatever. To use a modern term, I will look machshirei korban. But for machshirei korban, which is the wood is not the korban. The wood is just helping you break the korban. It's an accessory to the korban. Kol amamai shu mishtana that shu mishtana korban yochel lekorban tzibur. Everybody's minded that you could take korban yochel money and make it to korban tzibur. Fine. Tani, that's what we learned.
How are you burning the korban without the wood?
No, you're right, but the bottom line is that the korban, the wood is not the korban. The wood is what's enabling the korban to be burnt, right? It's not itself a korban.
It's just a little strange because, like, is it a korban if it doesn't get burnt?
If it doesn't get burned, I think it would still be a kosher korban. Yeah.
So
as long as there was zrika, as long as there was zrika and shmita and zrika and all that would be fine if it didn't get burned.
So the fire has nothing to do with it being a korban.
Correct. It's just allowing you to be able to do what the Torah says, but it's not the korban. You can't say it's the korban itself. It's definitely one step removed from the korban. No.
No, I what you're saying makes sense. It's just very hard to conceptualize. It's a korban. You need to burn it. You use wood to burn it, but the burning is like the wood is a hechsher mitzvah or a hechsher to the korban. It's like,
yeah,
it's not like,
what's the big deal?
Because it's not like tzitzin she'ena me'akven on a bris milah. It's not the same thing. It's without the wood, you can't burn the korban.
But when you say korban, you're not. When you're talking about makar of a korban, you're not being makar of the wood. You're makar of the animal.
Right, and what do you do with the animal?
You burn it with the wood, but the wood is not the
Right.
ikr. The
Can you
ikr
burn
is
it with
the
that?
animal.
Can you finish burning it?
Yuri,
can you burn it
Yuri,
at all without
No,
the
but
wood?
the ikr is the animal. It's the animal.
But,
or
but
whatever the
you
korban is.
can't take care of burning the animal without the wood. That's my
Can you
point.
do the bris without the Ismail?
No,
Right.
but
But
chitin are
Ismail
not
is not the
ma'akiv the
bris.
bris.
But
chitin
it's
are
not the
ma'akiv
bris.
it. So I'm asking. So that's my question: is the wood ma'akiv the korban or not? That's my question.
But even if it is, let's say it is, so what? It's still not the korban.
So can
It's
you
not
still
the
call
korban.
it a hechsher? Yeah, but can you still call it a hechsher, or is it like
I would think
is
it's
it something
still
like a
hechsher.
middle status? That's what I'm saying. Is it like a different
I
status
hear-
in between?
I hear what you're saying, but I think it's still a hechsher. I think it's still called. I mean, you can't use a phone without an accessory to charge it, but nobody's going to say the accessory is the phone. I know it's a
Yuri.
balabata. It's a balabata shemashal. I know.
Yuri, if you have 20-year-old scotch, you drink it in a paper cup in shul, or you drink it in cut crystal in your house. It's still 20-year-old scotch. You don't care
Not
which
true.
glass you
It's not
have.
true. My father would hit me if I drank it in a
Your
styrofoam
father would
cup.
hit you good,
So I
I'm
wouldn't do
sorry.
it. That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
sorry you had such an upbringing. I didn't mean to bring it up here this year.
Thank you. Thank you for
For
acknowledging.
Byron, the bottom line is that
You're allowed to
still
talk about
drink
scotch
it.
on Pesach?
What did you say, Paris?
You still will drink it. It just tastes
That's
better
what
in
I'm
the crystal
saying, Tim.
glass.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying to him.
But you're not burning the carbon without the wood.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
has nothing to do
You're
with the
not
carbon.
using
That's
charcoal.
the
You're
point.
not using charcoal. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. It's okay. What? It's a. But the bottom line is the carbon is the carbon is what it is. Okay. Fine. Let's say the truth is the Gemara is going to discuss it later. What status the mizbeach has, etc., etc. Okay. So let's see weiter. Tony, then another proof. Isha she'asa ksainas levana. A woman made a ksainas levana, right? A ksainas for her kohen gadol to wear, right? I'm sorry, not levana, libna. Isha she'asa ksainas libna. She made a ksainas for her son the kohen gadol, right? She shipped a lot of nachas from her son the kohen gadol, and she wanted to, make him a clothing. So ksheira, so it's kosher. But she has to give it over to the tzibur. She can't tell him bring it back after you finished your avoda. Bring it back to me, right? That's not allowed. So what do you see? Who's this like? Some Rav Acha, Rav Yosi. It's Rav Yosi. Rav Yosi. That even somebody, if somebody wants, he could be misnad of shemachinam. Right? The Gemara switched from Rav Yosi with the hey to Rav Yosi with the yud. Yeah, so Rav Yosi, yes, so that's what the Gemara is saying. So the Gemara says, no, Rav Yosi, b'shem Rav Ila, divrei HaKol, no, it's according to everybody. The same teretz. What was the machlokes? Whether you're allowed to use private money for korbanos tzibur? That's by the goof of the korban, machshirei korban. But the accessories of the korban, kol abba ma'adim, shehu mishtana korban yachid, the korban tzibur. Everybody agrees that you can change the korban yachid to the korban tzibur. Yeah. So okay, so now that's that sugi. Now masnis and pligi are Rabbi Yosi. We have Mishnayos that seem to disagree with Rabbi Yosi. Yeah. On those days, meaning the days that the people, the 9 days that they were makabel on themselves a yom tov because they donated the wood. So those days they celebrated them whether it was a shas korban and shaloi b'shas korban, meaning they kept the yom tov whether there was a Beis Hamikdash or whether there was no Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Yosi says no, they only did it b'shas korban. So what is that? What do you see from this? That it has to be that it was some sort of I see, Uri, this is really what you're saying. It has to be that it was considered like a regular korban, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to make a yom tov out of it. Right? That's that's really the Gemara's kasha. I'd say that's one kasha. Hadot the Tanya, this that we learned in the braysos. Omer Rabbi Eliezer bar Reb Tzadok, Anu hayinu b'bnei Sina ben Binyamin. We are the kids of Sana or Sina ben Binyamin. Right? So it was the name of a family that donated wood. B'chal Tisha B'av Liyas b'Shabbos. Tisha B'av fell out on Shabbos. V'tachina na'aseh l'motzei Shabbos. And we pushed off Tisha B'av to Motzei Shabbos to Sunday. And we fasted, but we didn't finish the fast, meaning they only fasted a half a day. because for them it was a Yom Tiv. Since Tisha B'Av was pushed off, so for them it was a Yom Tiv, similar to somebody who makes a bris. Mikra Adin, somebody who makes a bris on a Nidcha on Tisha B'Av, only has to fast half a day. I'm not so sure people are knowing that nowadays, but that's Mikra Adin, only fast half a day. So this was clearly a major Yom Tiv when they had the wood. So therefore it's not looked at like an accessory. It must be an actual korban. All right? And that's what the Gemara leaves. That's the Gemara leaves off with this kasha. All right. Fine. Okay. So that's that. The meaning, but the bottom line is machlokes Rabbi Yossi in the Tanakama whether you can take private money and give it to korban tzibur or not. Fine. Now Omer shtei alechem v'lechem aponim b'chol korbanos tzibur. Right. So the Omer shtei alechem lechem aponim all the korban tzibur. Right. So they take. That's where they take the money from the machzas shekel. The Rabbi Yishmael, our Mishna is going according to Rabbi Yishmael because he holds that you cannot bring the korban Omer, right? The korban Omer matters barley. Right? So it can't come from Surya. So Surya was a big issue whether Surya was considered part of eretz yisroel, not considered part of eretz yisroel. So Rabbi Yishmael held that no matter what, the grain always has to come from eretz yisroel for the korban Omer. Yeah, so the Gemara is going to bring a few proofs to Rabbi Yishmael. Taman Taninan, we learned in the Mishna called korbanos yachad tzibur bayin min eretz min chutz eretz. All korbanos yachad and tzibur can come from eretz yisroel and from chutz eretz. Min hekdesh min yashu. Yeah.
It's talking about the korban Omer.
Yeah.
How could they possibly cut the tfuah the night of Pesach, the second, and bring it to the Mishna the same day from Syria?
You're right. So it's an excellent kasha, but they are allowed to cut it a couple of days before. If it's from far away, they're allowed to cut it a couple of days. You're right. It has to come before Pesach too, right? Unless we're going to get into whether it would be Doicha Shabbos, not Doicha Shabbos. But you're right. But they were able to cut it earlier. Yeah, with a few tanaim of whether you were allowed to, really not allowed to. Anyway, so Taman Tanina, Kol Korban say, oh, see, requirement, Bain min Aretz, or I'm sorry, Bain min Aretz and min Chutz Laretz. It came from eretz yisroel and Chutz Laretz, min Chadash, min Yashan, from Chadash and from Yashan, right? Yeah, b'chutz min ha'aymer, except for the aymer shtei alechem she'ein bayin ela min ha'chadash u'min ha'aretz. That has to come only from the new grain, obviously, because that's the point of the korbanos, right? Korban aymer is the barley, and the shtei alechem from Shavuos is for the wheat. That can only come from chadash and from eretz yisroel. Yeah, so that's clearly like Rabbi Yishmael, who holds that it can't come. Right, so Rav Chuna, Hashem Rav Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yishmael, he says it's like Rabbi Yishmael. The Rabbi Yishmael, Aimer Bam in Syria. The Aimer can't come from Syria. That's one Mishnah like Rabbi Yishmael. Taman Taninan. Another thing that we learned, Eser Kedushas thing. There are 10 Kedushas. Eretz Yisroel, Mikudeshes, Mikol Aratzis. Eretz Yisroel is the most Kadosh from all the other lands. Umahi Kedushasa. And what's it Kedusha? What's its Kedusha? We bring from it the Omer and Bikurim and the Shtei Alechem. Mashain Mevi and Kain Mikol Aratzis, which we don't bring them from all other lands. Rabbi Chia b'Shem Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yishmael, the Rabbi Yishmael Omer, Ein Omer, Bam in Syria. So see another Mishnah that nothing gets brought from outside of Eretz Yisrael, not even from Syria. Third one, Tamat Taninan. Yeah, so we learned in the Mishnah in Shvius, Rabbi Yishmael Omer, Ma Charish B'Shus. Right, just like plowing is a rishus, meaning in Shabbos, right? You don't have to plow. Nobody says that you have to plow, right? You're not allowed to plow, but there's never a situation where you have to plow. Af kotzer rishus. So too, when you're doing ketzira, right, is a rishus. Yotza ketzir ha'aymer shehu mitzvah. That excludes ketzir ha'aymer, cutting down the aymer. That would be a mitzvah. Meaning, if the second day of Pesach would fall out on Shabbos, so Rabbi Yishmael is saying that we would be mata you to cut down the grain on Shabbos, because Shabbos is only answering optional things. But meaning optional, plowing is optional, cutting is optional, right? But if it would be something that you're mechuyev to do, like the Omer, then then you would be allowed. That would be the Shabbos. Rabbi Yishmael kedai tei to Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael is going with the das of Rabbi Yishmael. The Omer, meaning Lishcha. The Omer ain't Omer brought min Syria. Right? He holds that Omer is not brought from Syria. Kidate, which is like his shita. The Omer yotze ketira Omer shu mitzvah. That excludes the ketira Omer. Right? That's a mitzvah. So Mamela it's going to be Doicha Shabbos. Right?
I'm sorry.
Meaning,
I'm sorry,
otherwise, why couldn't you just go get it from Syria? What are you saying?
Can you explain that concept again? That why it's allowed to do it on Shabbos?
He's making a diak. He's saying just like plowing, what the Torah says you're not allowed to plow on Shabbos. Plowing is optional, right? So we're saying that we're going to learn out Katsira. The same is for all the other malachas from that. It's only things that are optional. So you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos. But if it's something that you're mechuyev to do, then you do it on Shabbos. I'm assuming it's similar to bris milah. Right. So just like something that's a mitzvah, you do it on Shabbos. I don't know if that's exactly a great mashal, but it's along the same lines. So too, when you have to cut down the korban on Shabbos, so we would allow you to cut it down.
Why wouldn't they make you cut the korban Omer before Shabbos?
Why wouldn't you be able to cut it before Shabbos?
Why wouldn't they make you cut it before? I mean, I don't know the dynamics of the korban.
Right?
Exactly. That's where I was going.
I don't know. Maybe it's in a situation where, because theoretically they should allow it.
No, it has to be cut the second day of Yom Tov.
No, but I know there are situations that you could cut before.
Oh, so okay.
So I'm saying if it was going to fall out on Shabbos, then you have to cut it before. That's why I was asking.
Right.
Like bris milah is only Deicha Shabbos if it's bris milah bezmana. If it's not, it's not Deicha Shabbos. So.
Right. So what he said, this is also only in this manner, no?
Exactly. That's the reason why it would be. No, you're right. That actually would prove what I'm. Yeah. Okay. Forget that.
Right. So. Yeah. So that's a shot. So basically, what he's saying is that Mamela is so he's rather you do be Machal Shabbos. Why can't you go get it from Syria? Right? Elamai.
Must not be from Eretz Yisrael.
What?
It might not be from Eretz Yisrael then.
Right. No. So I forgot. I don't know if I explained this. This is also talking about during shmitta. Right. This is Mishna and shmitta and shvius. Right. So Mamela, why we're cutting it down on Shabbos from Eretz Yisrael, which is also also to do because it's shmitta. So Elamai, because bringing it from Syria is a problem. Right, so that's clearly Rabbi Yishmael Lishcha. Yeah, okay, so that's the end of that sugya. Man Tana Shomer Sfichim B'Shviyas Noiten Scharim Mitrumas Lishka. Who's the Tana that holds that the people that are going to be watching the wheat that grows during Shemitah, the wheat that grows by itself, take their money from hekdesh? Essentially, they're getting paid from hekdesh, right? He's watching. They're getting paid from hekdesh. Who is it? Rabbi Yishmael. It's Rabbi Yishmael, right? Why? Because again, you don't have a choice to take it from chutz la'aretz. So you don't have a choice because you're not allowed to bring it from chutz la'aretz, not even from Syria. So therefore, you got to take it from. You have to hire watchmen, which you're normally not allowed to do again, right? Because it's hefker. Shmius is hefker. You're not allowed to have people watching the stuff, but they had to do it because they had no choice. Because Rabbi Yishmael holds it's the only way to get the wheat for the korban. Omer Rabbi Yisa. Rabbi Yisi said, "Divrei Hakol." It's according to everybody. Lo matzu b'Syria, v'yinosim b'svichim she'eretz Yisrael. If they can't find it in Syria, meaning they would rather get it from Syria, but if they can't get it from Syria, then they bring it from the season that are Eretz Yisrael. Right? Fine. So hahen Omer mahu sheyizu b'tchila. Right? Now the Gemara is asking a different question. What can they plant? Let's say they realize that no svichim are growing. What do they do during Shemitah? And for whatever reason, no wheat or barley grew by itself during Shemitah. So we just said that we're going to allow you to cut it down on Shabbos and hire workers to protect it, etc., which are all yisurim of shmitta. So what are we going to go to the? Are we going to go so far as to even allow them to plant the barley? If they see that nothing's growing by itself during shmitta, are they even going to allow that, or will they say go to Surya? So again, I'm Ramal use a betchila. Can they plant it from betchila? So Rabbi Mana, he asked in front of Rabbi Mana, right? Isn't that the same thing as separating kaimets, right? So kaimets is when you take from the right, you take the fingers like this and you take the flour, and that's the equivalent of what do you call it? Of shechting and sprinkling the blood on the mizbeach. So that's what that's what you do with a kaimets, right? So are we going to say, can you separate a kaimets if the carbon, meaning let's say the flour all became no good, right? But can you take the kaimets and matter the carbon anyways, right? So let's say it's tame. So nobody's going to be able to eating the rest of the carbon. Nobody's going to be able to eat the rest of the carbon. So are they going to allow a kaimets or not? So is it not the same thing as a kaimets of the leftover that's not going to be able to eat, which we say is okay, right? So no, so we say that it's going to be. I'm sorry, I said it's not okay. I said it's okay. Adarab, but the carbon is not okay, right? If you take a kaimets and the carbon there's no different than if you take a carbon that's tummy and nobody could eat the carbon, right? You could sprinkle it onto the blood on the mizbeach from today till tomorrow. It's not going to be okay. So the same thing if you have a carbon of flour, right? A carbon mincha, you take the kaimets. It's not, if the carbon is not going to be able to be eaten, then it's not going to be good. So too here, if you're going to take. You're not going to be able to eat the Omer, right? Because you planted it during shmitta. So it's going to be usher. So how would you think that the carbon is going to be kosher if you planted it? Normally, so he said, Nasa it's going to, maybe we say that there's 5 types of situations where we say that the things could be brought betuma, the korbanos could be brought betuma, but you're not allowed to eat it betuma. So maybe the carbon is going to be okay, even though you can't eat it. So ketzaru oisa. That's it. I'm sorry. So that's the end of that sugi. Yeah, it's so interesting where they put the 2 dots. Sometimes in the middle of the sugi, and sometimes it's a total new sugi, and they don't put any 2 dots. Yeah, in the Yerushalmi. Okay, but to the ketzaru oisa, how did they pay them? Meaning, we said that they pay the workers from the watchmen from the shmitta, from the svichen. They paid him from the machzas of shekel money. So how'd they do that? Right? Because you're not supposed to take money that's hekdesh and just go to the mundane. Right? You're gonna give the money to the workers, hekdesh money, and then he's gonna go to the bar after work. Obviously, I'm being megazim. He's gonna take it to the bar after work and use it. Is that a proper way of using hekdesh money? Right? So they have to basically launder it in order to be able to pay them. So Gemara is asking, how did they do it? So how did they get it? How did they get the money to the watchman without it being a misuse of hekdesh? So what they did is they would take money from the money changer, and they would give it to the people that cut down the grain, and for the people watching grain, before the Omer was brought, they would give them the money, right? They would pay them before the korban. Well, maybe mice, mitrumas lishka, mechalan alav. Then they would take money from the machzas shekel, from the trumas lishka, and they would take that money and make the money that they paid them into the hekdesh, right? And the money that was in the machzas shekel, they would be paid it, right? Because now the money that they borrowed from the money changer becomes hekdesh. And the hekdesh money now is mechol, and it goes to the workers. What do you say?
How is the hekdesh money being mechol?
How what?
How is the hekdesh money being mechol?
How is What do you mean? You take one coin and put it onto another coin.
What
No?
are you doing? What are you doing? You're taking. Well,
You're
explain-
paying them. You're borrowing money. You're paying the workers with borrowed money. Then you take the hekdesh money and you pay the money that you paid the workers onto the hekdesh money. And so
How
the
are you
hekdesh
doing
money
that?
becomes
How
what?
are you doing that? Why are you allowed to do that?
No, you're not. I'm sorry. There's a step that I missed. What you're doing is you're being paid onto the Omer. That's why you have to do it before the Omer. Right? Then you bring money, right? Yeah.
No.
They would make the money. They would take the money from the machzis shekel, put it onto the korban Omer. Right? Now the korban Omer gets the kedusha of the money, and then the money goes to the. Then they go pay back the money changer, who gave the money, who paid the workers.
Why are you allowed
That would
to take kiddush? Why are you allowed to take kaddish money and put it onto an Omer?
Put it onto.
An Omer.
You're not. What do you mean? You're keeping kaddish. You're keeping kaddish.
And then what do you do with the Omer?
The Omer is kaddish anyways.
Okay, now what? What's the next step?
What's the next? That's it. Then you pay back. Then you take that money, and the Omer is now kaddish, and the money is not kaddish, and now you pay back the money changer.
What do you mean by put it on the Omer?
You're paid it onto the Omer.
How do you do that?
You say that whatever kedusha is in these coins goes onto the Omer, onto this korban Omer. The Gemara is going to discuss this further, so let's wait till we discuss it further, because the Gemara is going to ask, how do you do one kedusha onto another kedusha? Yeah, but let's wait and see. So, but anyways, but that's again, this is how it goes. The money they go to a bank. The bank pays the workers. Then they take the kedusha of the shekalim and they put it onto the Omer, and now the shekalim become chulin, and then they pay back the money changer. Right? Is that right? So the Gemara is going to say, for Tovas Cain, are you allowed to do this? But they're asking from a different angle. I was wondering that the island didn't ask this question. The machzis shekel is going to be worth a lot more than what the Omer is. Because basically they had to watch, let's say the worker had to watch X amount of wheat. So he charges, per whatever wheat he has to watch. The more wheat he has to watch, the more money he charges. When they break down all this wheat, all they're getting is a tiny amount for the korban.
You're getting 1/10. They're getting 1/10 of what it is. So I'm going to ask.
They're getting a sirus heifer.
Right. So Zev Bald is watching 10 acres of land, and I'm only getting paid for 1 acre. I'm never going to agree to that.
Correct. Right? No, so that's the issue. So that's the Gemara saying. The money is going to be worth, the payment is going to be a lot more.
How you know the guy's going to accept payment for 1/10 of the work he did?
That's exactly what the Gemara is asking.
No, he's going to get the full payment, but how could you be paid it on something that's worth much less?
The
Right.
rest he
Meaning
gets in programs.
Yeah. Maybe no, because let's say he was supposed to get $100, right? So he's going to ask for $100 payment. If what are you being paid $100 onto? To flour that's worth $1? It's a tenth of it, right? Let's say $10. So you're going to be paid onto something that's worth $10. That's not an equal exchange. You can't do that. You can't be paid $100 worth of hekdesh onto $10, right? So that's a Gemara's kasha. Yeah. So with Tovas Cain, can you really do that? So Gemara says, "Ra'acha b'shem Rabbi Ba." So Ravacha says, "Shem Rabbi Ba, kol ma sheyitin hein dama mishar rishayna." No, whatever they're giving it according to what it was worth in the beginning, not what it's worth now. Right? Meaning he's only going to get paid what it's worth now. He's not going to get paid for more than that. Right? So that's it. Tana. Yeah. So after Pischei Avonim came, even the workers with the stones that worked with the stones in the Beis Hamikdash also got paid the same way. Ketores, how they do it. They would take the money from a money changer, they would give it to the people that chiseled out and broke up the stones. But before that, they put the stones onto the building, then they would once they put the stones onto the building, maybe they would take money from the Chumas Lishka, which we're going to see is where they got the money to pay for the building, and they would machal on it, and that was it. The same way, exact same thing. So the Gemara says the same kasha b'tavas came. Is that the way it's going to be? Right? It's not the same. It's not the same amount of money. It's not worth the same. Right? They had to do a lot of work to get those stones to that point. So Rabbi Yossi, Be'Rabun, B'Shem Shmuel, Kama Shiyitin, Hein Hein Dameh Mishar Rishayna. Now what they're giving is the money that they had from the beginning, right? So that through the money changes. So basically, the prices are going to be all the same. I'm not exactly sure how that works. That the prices are going to be the same, right? So then it's basically they're getting paid for their final work. Yeah. So that's what comes out. Okay, Zok the Mishna. Para, Usira Mishtaleach. So the para, right? The para aduma. The Sira Mishtaleach and the Sira that got sent out that went off the cliff on Yom Kippur. The Lashon Shel Zahiris and the red wool that went on the Sira Mishtaleach's horns. But Michumas Lishka comes from Chumas Lishka. Keves para, the keves seir, the ramp. I'm sorry, not keves, kevesh, right? Kevesh para, the kevesh seir, hamishtalech. So the para, in order to keep it tar, they made ramps from wherever it was that it came. They were not going to risk it becoming tummy because it wasn't like they got these red paras. They weren't so common. So they made these ramps in order for it to go over all the houses, so it wouldn't become tummy. And the Sir Mishtaleach also had ramps. As Hashem and Yuma will learn that. The Lashon Shebein Karnov, and they put the what do you call it? The Lashon, the string between its neck, its horns, v'amas hamayim, and the water that went through the Beis Hamikdash, v'chaim b'seir, and the walls of the city of Migdal and the Migdal, the towers, v'chol tzarech ha'ir, and all the tzarechim of the city, bind me sheyarei lishka. They all come from the leftovers from the lishka. That's what they bring with the leftovers from what they took out of the boxes. Kevesh para kahanim gedolim ma'asim b'shalatzman. No, the para aduma, the ramp for that came from themselves. Yeah. What do they do with the leftover money from the lishka? Right, if there was any leftover money, so like and yena shmanam slosses, they would buy flour and oil and wine, right? And then they would do business with it. The schar the hekdesh, and then the schar would go to hekdesh. That's what Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Kiva Omer, ein mistakrin b'shel hekdesh. You're not allowed to do business with hekdesh, meaning you're not allowed to go invest hekdesh money. Af lo mishal anim, and you're not allowed to invest anim's money either, right? Meaning this is a classic financial thing. You can't take money that belongs to aniyim and invest it, because what happens if they need it? Right? What happens if there's losses, which we're going to discuss in the Gemara tomorrow? But right, what's if there's losses, etc., etc.
Most of the do that though. Most of us nowadays.
Yes. Yes, it's unclear exactly how they do that. Right? Yeah, so I'll look it up. I will look it up, Alina. I'd rather have a sefer on all this tzedakah. But
amazing how Zevi is so quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Parrots, I know I can count on you.
Yeah, Parrots is giving mustard tonight. Parrots is in a mustard mood. Yeah. Anyways.
Parrots is in Florida. He can give mustard.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, so Ma'aser Truma Mahayu Aisin, what did they do with the leftover of the Truma? Right? So Riku Ezov Tzipu the base of Kaddish Kadashim, the gold that they would cover that they used in the base in the Kaddish Kadashim, they used the money for that. Shmuel Aimer Ma'aser HaPeiros Kayitzam Mizbeach, whatever was left over from the fruits, which we're going to see weiter what that means, right? That comes from payros of their investments. That went for the Kayitzam Mizbeach. Kayitzam Mizbeach, they never let the Mizbeach, if for whatever reason there was no korbanos, they would just continue bringing korbanos just so that the Mizbeach should stay on and busy. Fine. Meiser Truma l'kli sharis. Also, Meiser Truma can also go to pay for the kalim, for the clay sharis of the Beis Hamikdash. Kiva Omer, Meiser Truma l'kayitzam mizbeach. The extras of Truma goes for the mizbeach. Meiser nesachim, the extras of the nesachim, right? That goes for the kli sharis. Rab Chananya Skana Kohen Omer Meiser nesachim kayitzam mizbeach. The extras of the nesachim goes for keeping the mizbeach busy. And the extras of Truma goes to Klisharis. And none of them admitted to Rabbi Yishmael about the payros, that they take the payros, that they take the profits. Right, so basically we have 4 opinions. Right? Is it 4 opinions? Kiva, Hananis Kanakoyene, Tanakama, Rabbi Yishmael. Yeah, it's 4 opinions about exactly what to do with all these different leftovers. Okay, we'll see that in the Gemara. So Kevesh para, so the ramp that they brought the para on, Rabbi Yishmael bar Nachum b'shem Rabbi Yonasan, I said b'shem Rabbi Yonasan, Gimel Shayna saying there were three strings of wool that were negay in the Beis Hamikdash. Shel seir b'sela, the seir is going to have the weight of a sela coin, meaning the seir mishtaleach of Yom Kippur. That's how heavy it has to be. Shel mitzayra the shekel. What they did with the mitzayra is they took the wool and they put the blood from the mitzvah's korban onto them, right? Shal mitzvah b'shekel, that has to be worth the weight of a shekel. Shapara, and the para atuma is the shtei slayim, has to be the weight of 2 slayim, right? Which I think is pretty heavy string, right? It's no lightweight string, right? Reb Chunya Dibras Chavrin. Rabbi Ba Bar Zavda b'shem Reb Shimon ben Chalafta shapara b'shtei slayim u'mechza v'istem misafki lishna basara zuz. Some say it's 2.5 slayim, and some say that it's 10 zuz. Right? Yeah. So those are all the different opinions about these 3 things. Fine. Right. The Rabbi Yehuda b'shem Reb Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, Tamid Chachamim hamalamdim esakayhanim hilchos shchita hilchos kabbalah hilchos rika. Tamid Chachamim who taught the kayhanim halachas of shchita and to be makabel the blood and zrika noitlin schara mitchumas lishka, they get paid also from the chumas lishka, right? From the money there. But I don't. Okay, isn't this a raya that you're allowed to take money to teach? Didn't we say you're not supposed to? Didn't we? I mean, right? We had that Gemara. They say you're not really supposed to. What was going on over here? Right? So I don't know. You're muted, Rabban.
Maybe this isn't learning. This is teaching him a fach.
You say, okay, I hear that. Yeah, okay. Okay, but whatever it is, I mean, it's l'chayra Talmidei Chachamim. Well, I don't know. So then why do they have to be Talmidei Chachamim, though?
He brings it down with what you said.
What'd you say?
The Rash Shirilo, he brings down that you're training them in shchita.
Can't hear you.
You're training them in shchita. He brings it down in the article over there.
Okay, but and what he's saying that therefore he's addressing this issue, or just Stam saying that that's what it is.
Adam will not afford non-Karen the opportunity to do shchita, and so training them in shchita was deemed necessary.
I hear. Interesting.
Aren't we about to say
so,
that they also give it to Dayanim?
Yeah, so let's see. The Gemara is going to go through a bunch of things. But it's interesting because we said you're really not supposed to. The reason why people take money nowadays, Rebbeim, etc., is because it's lasses Lashem, right? It's lasses Lashem.
Schar Batala, no? Schar Batala?
Yeah, Schar Batala for sure. But Okay, whatever it is. Today, meaning this was chashuv enough that it came from the Trumas Lishka. Rav Yitzchak bar Radifa b'shem Rav Amy, mivakri mume kachim noited scharam mitrumas Lishka. Those that checked into the mumim, right? The animals had to be checked to see if they had mums. They also got their money from the Trumas Lishka. Rav Acha, Rav Tanchum bar Chia b'shem Rav Simlai, Magiye Sefer Azara noited scharam mitrumas Lishka. The people that the Seifrim that looked over the Sefer Torah from the Azara also got their payment from the Trumas Lishka. Right, so the two dayanim from that, what do you call it? That they did choshen mishpat would also take their money from the Trumas Lishka. Right?
He brings down a little bit later that since it's shchita, since you're teaching him something that's related to the Beis Hamikdash, you're paying these people for something that's related to the Beis Hamikdash.
So you mean it's based on the Beis Hamikdash, not based on teaching?
Correct.
I hear. Okay, I hear that. Fine. So anyway, so these dayanim also got their money from Trumas Lishka. Even though the hekdesh with these last two has nothing to do with the Beis Hamikdash. Nothing to do with it. What does that have to do with the Beis Hamikdash? Right? Fine. Shmuel Omer. Shmuel says, Nashim harugas b'paroiches noitin scharam mitrumas Lishka. The women who would make the what do you call it? The paroiches for the Beis Hamikdash should also get their money from the Trumas Lishka. Yeah. Fine. Rav Huna Omar. Rav Huna said, "Mitrumas beda kabayis." No, he disagreed. He says the women get paid from the beda kabayis. They're not going to get from the hekdesh mamish. Ma pligi. What's the ma pligi? Ma polig. What's the machlokes? Shmuel over like a korban. Shmuel says that's like a korban. So therefore, if it's like a korban, it comes from the lishkas from the Trumas Lishka. Rav Huna over like a binyan. He looks at the paraychas that it's part of the binyan. So the binyan comes from the beda kabayis.
Isn't this all like an extension of the Gemara earlier of what you could use the machatzis shekel for and like the leftovers and all that stuff?
Yeah.
I'm saying this is an extension of that Gemara of like kind of like what I mean. It's a different parak, but you know the earlier Gemara was like, okay, if you have leftover of the machatzis shekel, you could use it for whether or not you could use it for chulim or for kachim and all that stuff. So this is just an extension of the same thing. So like, what is this telling me differently? You know what I'm saying? Like, is the parochas considered something that's chulin, or like what's it part of that you would? There's a havamida to say that like of where you could use it or not.
Oh, but that's exactly what it is. No, that you can. What are you saying? Why should it even be a machlokes?
Meaning, what am I learning new from this that I didn't know last parak when it said what I could use the leftover of the machatzis shekel for?
No, I don't know. Does this have to do with the leftovers, or is this
or just in general? You're saying that it's just literally what you could use the machatzis shekel for, not leftovers at all?
What?
Nothing. Forget it.
No, it's not. I don't think this is a din in leftovers. I think this is
just in general. What are you allowed to use the machatzis shekel for and not?
Just telling you what expenses they could pay with it. That's
what I'm asking. Like, is that what this is? It's legit. Like, what can I use the machatzis shekel for?
Right. That's what it's saying. I mean, why is the Mishna calling it as a leftover? I hear. I don't know. L'chayra this is part of the initial expenses. I hear. Okay, so Omer of Chizkiah, Tana Reb Yehuda, Gadgedus, right? He taught haktoras v'chol korban, ketores. I'm sorry, the ketores v'chol korbanos atzibur buying mitrumas Lishka. Ketores and all the korbanos atzibur come from the trumas Lishka, right? Uri, what you're saying is like, well, let's say they run out. So now where's the money coming from? That's really enough community now that I think about it, right? Let's say they run out of the money. So now where's the money going to pay all these people? Right. Where's that coming from? I hear. Okay, so Mizbeach Hazav, Chol Kli Shoris, Bamim Meiser Nesachim. The Mizbeach Hazav and the Klei Shoris, that comes from the extras from the Nesachim. Right? Mizbeach Ha'ayla, but the Mizbeach of the Ayla, that's the Mizbeach HaChitzon. Yeah. The heifer, Va'azoris, all the rooms and all that, shmitta lishka, that comes from shmitta lishka. Right? Chutz la'azoris, lishka's bedek habayis. But anything outside the azara comes from the bedek habayis. You really need a good accountant for all this. How are you expensing this? Right? Fine. We said that the stones of the mizbeach and the heifer and the azaras, you over on meila if you use it by mistake. Is there such a thing as meila on leftovers? So no, that must be going according to Rameir. The Rameir Omer, like we had yesterday, Rameir holds you are over on meila on the leftovers. Rameir only said it when it was within the year that they gave these machzos as shekels. But here we're talking about that this is the money from the last year, right? So how do you know which year they're coming from? I mean, he's saying that the city Yerushalayim was being built with the previous year's money, not this year's money. So would Rameir even say that you're over on Meila there? The same Mustama, he would not say that. Yeah. Okay, I guess let's stop here because the next one is another sugi. It's taking a long time. It's hard this Yerushalmi, as if anybody didn't feel as if I'm saying a hekdesh there, right? But it's okay. It's fine.
Good.
All right. Okay. Good enough. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Good night.
All right. Where's Gershon tonight? Gershon not here? He not there?
Maybe he went on a Cholamite trip.
Maybe. What?
Shkoyach.
Wasn't he coming to New York or something?
Good to have you back. What?
Wasn't Gershon coming to New York today or something?
Oh, could be, right.
In New York?
Could be. But he's in New York. I don't know.
I don't know. He said he was coming today or so. I thought he was coming today. I don't remember.
Shaka, when are you going home?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, very good. Well.
Short and sweet and to the point.
I hear you. All right.
When are you going? Are you going after Yom Tov, right?
Yeah, after Yom
Tov. Are you enjoying?
Yeah, the kids are happy. Jaco, I'm sitting here doing the daf. The kids are in the pool in the background. Check it out there. What could be bad?
Avoda. It's good. It's good. Good the kids get out a little bit.
But it's about, yeah. All right.
I don't know if my kids made it into the pool. I was supposed to pool here closes at 9:30. I don't know if they made it.
They can come here.
They don't have a driver.
I hear you.
No offense to you, right? You know what I mean? I'm yeah.
They have a driver right here.
Oh. What time's your
Isn't
flight?
there like a men's night, Aaron? Isn't there men's night over there tonight?
There is, yeah.
How come you're not headed out there?
Why, you going?
No.
Oh.
I have no time to swim. It's not one of my things.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a time either to go to a men's only.
Parrots, you still recording, Parrots?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. You don't have a time to swim?
I don't have a time to go swimming at 11 o'clock at a men's only that says cold dichpin.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
Well, anyways, what do you call it? I got to go to the front desk because vacation never ends. I got a Lel Tfila Badika that I got to go.
You got a what?
I got somebody just dropped off a Badika cloth at the front desk for me.
How do you explain that?
I told them. I said I happened to be in
second.
Orlando.
I just walked in. Do you want me to get it for you?
Yes. Go to the front desk.
I'm telling you.
Go to the front desk.